What's up, everybody? As always, like and subscribe to the Contract Fortune YouTube channel at the end of this video. Freight brokers and freight forwarders, they only think in terms of tractor trailers, a lot of them. The bigger brokerage firms are international. They have offices everywhere. Recently, there's been a $1.1 billion lawsuit filed against C.H. Robinson. And I mean, that wasn't really any surprise because, if you know anything about the brokering business, they had always kind of shorted people on, paying what the price should be on the freight that those drivers were pulling. But they still are, one of the biggest brokerage firms in the country. And that's because they've had so many years of brokering freight. But what folks don't realize is there's so much more to be had than just dealing with tractor trailers. For instance, we're located in South Florida. Anybody in South Florida, Texas, anywhere in that parameter, and you don't even have to be in, brokering is a sport where you can play it from anywhere you are. But there's an Atlantic Ocean out there. There's a Gulf of Mexico out there that's full of steamships. As a broker, you need to think of diversifying your business. You don't have to only deal with trucks. You can move containers. You can move, large cargo, cars, farm equipment, things like that of that nature. So as a broker, I'm a small brokerage firm. Apex was a small brokerage firm. And we didn't really, you get one or two customers that are consistently giving you 10 to 15 loads a week, which is good money. That's good money. But you also want to try to branch out into a market where folks are doing things in other countries. So that way you can start to venture out into that steamship and air freight market, because the market is huge. There's so many people's first thoughts when they think steamship or air freight. Let's use air freight. It's like FedEx or UPS or DHL. No, you got a lot of smaller air freight companies that offer the same service at a lesser price. So if you have a client that's trying to move something, they want to move it by air, all you got to do is do a little bit of due diligence, and you can see that there are air freight companies that do things for a lesser rate than what, the big ones like FedEx and UPS will, charge you for. So don't look at steamships or air freight as something that a freight broker can't do, because a lot of times when you go to make these when you go to use them as a vendor, they're going to ask you, are you a freight forwarder? And being completely self-sufficient is one of the biggest things we try to teach at Contract Fortune. Have control of all of it. Don't rely on anybody to do any of the work for you in terms of things that you can do. For instance, if you have a client, right, a customer, and they are moving something big, it's something big that they're moving, and it needs to be housed before they move it. When you go to a warehouse, a lot of times the warehouse will want to assume custody of that freight. When I say assume custody, meaning that they will say, okay, we know that you're another freight forwarder or freight broker, and in order to store your freight in our warehouse, we need you to use us to move the, freight on the boat or the airplane or however it's going to move. And what they do is they charge you, most warehouses charge by the square foot, or, I think it's cubic feet of, for how much space you take up in the warehouse. But they get you on moving the freight. Like if a container costs $1,500 to go from Miami to Puerto Rico, the warehouse that you are housing your freight in will take that cost and jack it up by at least maybe another 50%. And they're trying to take more out of your profit margin. Maximize your profit is more or less what I'm saying for this particular point. Maximize your profit. You want the ability to make as much money as you can and be as self-sufficient as you can. You got a lot of warehouses that will charge you more in renting the space from their warehouse, but it'll be on you to, find whatever form of transportation that freight is going to be traveling by, whether it be boat or by plane or however. And, also remember that the more components that are involved with the logistics process, the more you can charge in terms of the client. Like when we were doing the job we did for Puerto Rico, moving solar panels from San Francisco to Miami to San Juan after Hurricane Maria. When we were doing that job, there were so many components to it, and you have to charge for each one of those components. You have to make sure that the truck gets paid right. You have to make sure that the steamship line gets what it is that they want. So you inadvertently, and I'm just making up a number, this isn't the exact number, but you're charging anywhere upwards of, let's say, I'm gonna go with anywhere between $10,000 to $17,000 per container. That will cover all aspects of that container. Now, each client might try to talk you down according to, they're going to try to talk you down, but you need to know what you need to make in terms of your profit. So anywhere from 10 to 17 was what we were getting it for, going from San Francisco to Miami to San Francisco. To Puerto Rico. That's when I learned that there's so much money to be had as a broker utilizing steamships and utilizing, air freight. So I say to all my new freight brokers that are trying to establish a brokerage firm, anybody that's trying to establish a brokerage firm as well as government contracting, don't just think tractor trailer. A lot of these, different freight broker teachers will only drive home truck freight. And that's important. That's, one of the most important. That's your, a lot of times bread and butter. But there's a lot of money to be had working, with steamships. Steamships are nothing but tractor trailers on the water. Airplanes and cargo planes are nothing but tractor trailers in the air. That's how you need to think about that. So, just a little something to give you, get you going today. As always, like and subscribe to the Contract Fortune YouTube channel. And we're going to talk about government contracting. We're going to talk about freight brokering completely so that you can get a grasp for it. And I wish everybody well in their new entrepreneur endeavors or if they're expanding their business. So have a great day.